The first time we saw Bronwyn was in the episode Ocarina. There was a framed picture of her in Kil Whan's house. In the episode Wheels, we finally see Bronwyn in person, and she has since aged into a teenager. The episode isn't so much about Bronwyn herself, but rather the interconnected relationships between Bronwyn and her dad, Bronwyn and her granddad, and the still rocky, though somewhat smoother relationship between her dad and granddad. Jake, as a character, has two sides to him. He can be laid back and wise, or he can be self-indulgent, immature, and lacking tact. In Wheels, Jake lets the latter side of his personality get the best of him.
Dude, you're really gonna ban your own granddaughter from her own skate park?
Man, I hope so.
At the episode's start, however, Jake is doing his best to keep his competitiveness and unruliness in check so as to not embarrass his highly professional and job-oriented son. While it's a very nice moment of bonding between the two and evokes those bittersweet feelings from the end of Ocarina, Kil Whan did not invite his pappy entirely out of the desire to spend time with him, but for help with a problem. The classic misbehaving youth whose grades are slipping problem. Bronwyn is super into skateboarding and skate culture. Check out her sick design of a lady deck, which may I add she discarded since Kil Whan found it in the recycle bin. The skateboarding in the episode is portrayed extremely well. I don't skate, so please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like most of the maneuvers performed were quite realistic and true to life, and the genuine feel and sound of skateboarding was captured phenomenally. Since Adventure Time is obviously a fantasy cartoon universe, they could have opted to make the skateboarding ridiculously flashy and unrealistic, but I actually think this grounded approach worked really well. The skating remained visually interesting, but also managed to appear like an actual skill that requires time and dedication to become efficient at. One of my main criticisms with the episode is that Bronwyn didn't feel individualized enough by the end. She feels too much like a standard teenage template. Feeling stifled by parental figures, wanting to belong, ultimately a really good kid at heart, I just wish we had a little more than that. Honestly, and I feel a little mean for saying this, but it makes sense that Jake one-ups her. He's just more dynamic. Don't get me wrong though, I really hope this is not the last we see of Bronwyn. She seems really cool. She just didn't have the chance to truly shine as an interesting character in this particular episode. And her lightning powers are so goddamn sick! As I already said, Jake does end up stealing the show, however, with his goofiness and endless sense of fun. I love how he skated in with a sleeping Finn in his arm and forced the snoozy boy to play flute so he could feel like he fits in. Which, by the way, Huntress Wizard showing up to sneak a peek because she heard Finn's flute playing was so adorable! When HW was last attracted to Finn's playing, it was because it had the quality of a powerful evocation spell.
What spirit guides your hands?
I'll let my grass hand do whatever it wants, which is usually sorta shreddy and busy.
This time around, Finn doesn't even have his grass hand anymore, and yet Huntress Wizard is still basically summoned at the sound of Finn's flute. It's just so cute! Oh my god, I am shipping trash. Speaking of shipping, Bonnabelle and Marcy showing up together to watch the skate-off, it speaks for itself. I really don't think I have to say anything about this. But yeah, Bronwyn and Jake have an awesome skate-off, Jake's desire to be the best results in him eating concrete, and the entire fiasco allows Bronwyn and KKW to exchange a genuine conversation that shows how deeply they care for one another. The episode's simple and predictable premise was subverted slightly by Jake's no-holds-barred immaturity remaining 100% intact, even after his bread and butter got messed up. It's a fun and somewhat unexpected twist to the otherwise formulaic plot. Jake learns nothing. But watching Jake learn nothing allows for Bronwyn and KKW to bond and communicate effectively. It was really nice. The ending line of the episode caught me completely off guard.
Not the swan. That's where the pups came from.
Is this a joke about where Jake and Lady Rainicorn conceived the pups? Jeez, I wonder if they took it all the way to tier 15 inside that swan. Overall, I'd say Wheels was quite good. It was fun, charming, and funny. But the episode didn't quite manage to escape or subvert its basic and often used premise enough to provide an experience that I'd consider outright amazing. It was just a simple and satisfying time skateboarding with a fam.